What's up, everybody? Welcome, my friends. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Yo, Mo, how you doing? Welcome. Bam. Alright, we should be live. Jem, what's up? Welcome, my friend. Caden, how are you doing? What's up? Oh no, I'm not muted on Twitch. Oh god. Yo, Wabi Inari. Inari, thank you so much for the 8 months. How's everybody doing? Lab, welcome. Woo, sorry, I went out of town on Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. I don't remember. Not to Bungie this time, for real. And I've been out of the loop. And I've got some articles I want to look at. If you guys have any Renegades reviews or interviews that you thought were particularly interesting, make sure you send them my way, and we can check them out together. Pretty good, feeling pretty good about Renegades. That's where I am too. Like I think, like I said in my review, like I think the content in Renegades is very strong. I'm not sure the impact it's going to have on the game as a whole, the larger game, but I think it's going to be a very fun month at the very least. Did I like your comment on my interview video? I don't quite remember it. Let me check. God, the lighting in that room is so bad. Let's see. Oh my god, there's 400 comments left. Just tell me what you said. Holy shit. I think I remember you saying... I do remember a comment on one of my videos. That was yours. I liked it. I think I just responded fucking lab, but... Oh, there it is. W interview. What a charismatic guy. You can really tell that he deserves the paycheck Bungie is giving him. Ben Womack is cool too, I guess. That's a really fucking good comment. Do you see those AI-generated leaks that were floating around? No, I've been pretty disconnected from Destiny news for the last few days. Yo, okay, bro, what's up? Hey, man, where do you buy those shirts or hoodies with the cool meta logos? They're all hoodies. They're all from a company called Shibori Threads. And they do, like, limited drops. So about, like, once every few months, they'll do, like, 3 or 4 bands. It will have a limited run. So... I'm just happy to play more Destiny. Seems like they found their footing with the Edge of Fate stumble. Excited to check it out. Yeah, I think it's hard though, because like, I don't think I'm kind of in a weird spot because I think the content of Edge of Fate wasn't necessarily bad. I think the balance of new to old content was bad, and I think how they deployed the portal was bad. But I really liked Edge of Fate for what it was. But once again, it didn't really come with any new activities of note. So it's hard because once again, like, I think Renegades is stronger than Edge of Fate in a lot of ways, but I just don't think it's going to fix a lot of the core problems with the portal, or at least those will come separately. And so I just don't, Edge of Fate, I think is kind of seen as worse due to a lot of like the state of the portal and stuff, and I'm worried that's going to happen with Renegades too. We'll have to see. Will you be doing any more dev interviews before this DLC? No. Actually, so this one, I didn't think I was going to be able to do one this time, and we were kind of like killing time in between. Bungie always gives you like an hour or two for like free recording. It's like whatever you want to record within our NDA, like go record it. And I was just kind of sitting around during that, And I was like, you know what? I want to see if any of the devs have time for an interview. So I kind of like forced my way into that one. That's why at the end of the video, you hear me say like, I think you hear me say, I might have edited it out, but I think at one point in the video I say like, I'm surprised this went so well for like such short notice. And that was because I had like 5 minutes to prepare and like come up with questions. That's why I didn't, there are some pretty obvious questions I think I missed. Because I didn't like prepare for a 25-30 minute interview. I just like threw shit together. And that's where that was. So, I'm glad they let me do it though. They're always really good sports about that stuff. So, but yeah, if you've seen any more dev interviews, I think so. I want to read Rogue. They've got a couple articles. I think IGN has an article on Renegades, right? Yeah, they've got IGN has 2 articles, it looks like here, so we'll read those. Were there any other dev interviews that you guys found really interesting that we should watch on stream or read on stream? Yo, Scale, forgive my ignorance. Did we ever have information on how new exotic armor tiers are working during Renegades? Exotic armor tiers are not coming, as far as we are aware, until Shattered Cycle. So they won't be here yet. Sweeney, what's up? Yo, Scaro. How was your weekend? Milo was talking about how good and critical you were at giving feedback at Bungie. You should get a clip for when people are annoying about a game. Again, last night on stream. Was he? Really? Dude, I fucking love Milo. Do you have a timestamp? I'm right there with you, actually. My overall issue was the way the portal was done. The Edge of Fate campaign was just fine. Like the story, the ball was fine. The core issue was the portal. Yeah, the ball, yeah. I don't know. It wasn't like an interesting campaign, but the narrative was really good. Vive did a cool interview with Allison about narrative stuff. Victoria and I actually listened to that on our drive home today. That was a really fun interview. But yeah, if you guys know of any more articles or anything, we can start reading these. Yeah, there's actually one review I'm really curious. I don't know if this person has said they were there yet. Just give me a second. And if he did anything. Okay, he has not made a video. I find that very surprising, to be honest, but make sure here. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Milo did a catch-up stream yesterday for everything released on the marketing side. Nice. Yeah, I've been talking with Milo. We got some stuff cooking in the background I'm pretty excited about. Why is the community suddenly schizo posting about a red subclass? I can't find it. It might take a while, but yeah, it really was. Hey, no rush. You can send it to me. Or you don't even have to do that. I can look for it later. No, I didn't see it. 1 second. Let me go to fucking Reddit and check out this shit, dude. Well, it's not at the top. Okay, so it's not as big as you guys think. Because I'm pretty far down here. Oh, the other subreddit? What subreddit? Oh, Destiny 2? r/Destiny 2? Wait, this one? This is so clearly AI. It's the same guy's head 4 times. This one? Or is there another... Not even the same font. Guys, this is so obvious. By the way, this is not at all... This is actually, it's really funny because to anyone who's been at Bungie, you know this is not what the theater looks like because you come in next to the doors. The back is a projection booth. There are no door. There might be a single exit back there. There's not double doors back there. That's pretty funny though. Yeah. That's you know, it's classic Reddit right there. Anyways. Okay. Welcome back. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate you. How you doing? I wish we had a red subclass on this expansion, but we don't. But we didn't have one on Witch Queen, and that was really bigger this one. So yeah, look, we're not gonna have the next subclass for a while. Oh, this one. That's the one. Red class, red subclass confirmed. I'm not crazy. You are. Up to this point, pretty much everything in Renegades loot and content-wise has been shown. Whether through promotional content, through Bungie or content creator reviews, all weapons activities have been named to perk pools are known. However, there are a few things that don't add up. In Cool Guy's video titled "At least 40 Renegades weapons exist," here are the first 26. In addition to the 35 weapons that are heavily featured in his and other content creators' videos, there are at least 5 he can't show yet due to NDA. I find this really surprising, because I was there. Because Mac mentioned something about this as well. I was there, and I played with all the weapons, and I do not recall a single weapon they said we couldn't show off. So I don't know what this means. We have like a list of things we were allowed to talk and not talk about. And I just straight up do not remember a single weapon on that list. So I don't know what this is. Normally this wouldn't be a concern with the new release and all. But the fact that the dungeon weapons and their entire perk pools and the exotic bow, which are historically the most aspirational loot for a given release, are totally available to the public, raises some eyebrows. One second. I literally have the list on my phone. I'm obviously not going to read them to you, but I'm going to look through the list of things we're not allowed to show. And see if there are truly weapons we can't talk about. Wait, what does the color code mean? Alright, so only things in red can we not talk about. Guys, I'm literally looking at the entire list of weapons right here. I have the entire list of weapons that we were able to see, that we were able to play with. I have the entire list of weapons, and not a single one is coded as "do not talk about this." We can talk about them all. I literally have the fucking list here. What does purple mean? Why are they all purple? I don't know what purple means. How many on the list? 3 exotics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 32. Some of them are, a lot of them are reissues, though. It looks like 32. They must have gone through the collections or something. I did not do that. But I am not aware of any weapons we're not allowed to talk about. So I don't know. And I will tell you, since I'm allowed to talk about these weapons, I will tell you generally where they are from. All the dungeon weapons are on here. All the destination weapons are on here. Well, they call them destination. I assume Renegades weapons because there is no destination. All the portal weapons, all the pinnacle ops weapons, and all the seasonal weapons. All the trials weapons and the crucible weapons. I don't really know what seasonal, I'm guessing, is like solo in fire team ops. Then what the fuck is a portal? Like, I don't know. They have these listed as portal, pinnacle, seasonal. I don't know what the difference of any of those are. But there you go. There's no weapons on this list that we can't talk about. So those two people, which if there were any two people that were going to dig through collections and me not be surprised about it. It would be Mac and Cool Guy. They are very thorough. But as far, I have no idea what they're talking about with these. I wish the dungeon gun stayed hidden. Yeah, me too, but I think that's sort of a, that's a consequence of these DLCs being smaller, and I think Bungie knows if they show off less content, people will be like, oh, there's not a lot of stuff coming. But I also think the dungeon weapon should have stayed away. Normally, this wouldn't be a concern with a new release and all, but the fact that the dungeon weapons and their entire perk pools and exotic bow, which are historically the most aspirational loot for the given release, we have seen the dungeon exotic for like most dungeons, leading back to, I mean, fuck, like literally all of them. At least back to Grasp. I don't remember. I don't remember if Spire or Ghost were shown, but I'm pretty confident that Icebreaker was shown. I'm pretty confident Warlords was shown, I think. I remember it in a trailer. I'm pretty confident Augurs was shown, I think. I don't know. At least off the top of my head, this is not abnormal that they showed Heirloom. I think, No, yeah, they never showed raid exotics, but we're talking about dungeon exotics. Those are different. Those are very different. Also, the other part we know, content creators can't talk about what show what relates to lightsaber customization. Specifically showing the screen where customization can happen. Oh, Jesus Christ. All gameplay capabilities concerning subclass synergies can be talked about, not the screen itself. What do all these things have in common? I do not think it is me breaking NDA. I'm so sorry if it is. I don't think it quantifies as me breaking NDA to say, having read all of the descriptions of specifically the only things that had to do anything with subclasses were it was the one next to catalysts. I think it was forms they were called. No, not forms. Cores. I think they were cores. There's nothing mentioning an extra subclass. I don't think that's there's no way that's within an NDA. Let's go back in time a bit. The third darkness element was seemingly leaked on ArcStation. I know the origin of this too, but I don't want to talk about it. But has been teased through in-game lore sources. This was consider this more of a troll. Okay, a lot of people fell for this. Has been teased through in-game lore sources for several years, dating back to VOW. The Disciple with the mural showed that. Yeah, sure, buddy. This is interesting though, because there is a lot of red in the trailer. Specifically this laser thing that you see. So that is kind of cool. Anyways, I will be. Oh my! This is a joke post. Now I understand what is happening. This is a post that is not meant to be taken seriously. Holy fuck, dude. Okay. Well. If there is another subclass, I'm not aware of it. And Bungie definitely would have marketed the absolute motherfuck out of it if there was another subclass. Someone shared a picture of... you read all the descriptions. Are you fucking serious, dude? I would... How I want them to do this, I've always said, before they... Instead of dropping an entire subclass on us, I would love if the community did something. Solved a puzzle, beat a mission, something. And it unlocked part of the new subclass for Prismatic. And you just had like a red grenade for a few months, and then the next DLC drops, and it's like, oh, there's another community puzzle. Oh, now you just have this red melee, and there's not a lot of like verb synergies with it. You just have them. It's just kind of cool to have, and it's like, oh my god, we're unlocking something. And then we kind of piece it together, and then the full expansion drops and you get the full kit. I think that would be so sick, dude. So I think that would be so fucking cool. Core red doors of time. This fucking guy. Anyways, these trophies are sick. I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be. They kind of look like exotic engrams. But I don't know. It might be the engine of the ship if we're trying to break the engine. Anyways. Yeah, so that's a shit post. Let's see what IGN has to say here. IGN. So I think this is a review, not an interview. Destiny 2 Renegades presents a much-needed refresh with the Star Wars twist. As Destiny 2 gets closer to its 10th anniversary, why do they have so many fucking ads on their site, dude? The shared world action RPG is currently at something of a crossroads. Following the end of the final shape, many players struggled to keep up with the steep power grind and evolving saga set up by Edge of Fate. It's hard to deny. It's hard to deny those clear stumbles with Destiny 2 in 2025, but there's still so much potential for strong storytelling and slick action within the growing universe of Bungie's satisfying online RPG. Alessandro Filari. I don't recognize that name. Usually Travis was the IGN guy for Bungie stuff. I don't know why he wasn't at this one. And that's what makes the upcoming Renegades expansion an interesting next step for Destiny 2. It not only seeks to realign the Ascent to greater power for players, but also expands the universe with a pulpy sci-fi story. It's pulpy. Pulpy, bro. That's the adjective we're going with, pulpy? Sci-fi storyline that leans right into the influence of Star Wars. After getting an early hands-on experience with Destiny 2 Renegades, I got to appreciate the way that developer Bungie is rethinking Destiny 2's power grind and how they're getting players to embrace the scoundrel's life as they navigate the shifting battle zone of the new lawless frontier. Oh, yeah, we should check out the new Destiny Rising trailer. It's so sick. Lightward, that's a good shout. I didn't think about that. Yeah, not seeing Travis's name here makes me sad, not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm curious what... Maybe he just couldn't make it work. My tower is filled with level 10s and Star Wars names, so the appeal of the collab is definitely working. Really? No, Travis was not there. And I didn't get to meet Alessandro. Or maybe I did. There were a ton of people at this event, man. Renegades picks up after the events of Edge of Fate with the Drifter warning the Guardians. You know what's really cool about this? I think they might say this in one of the Vidocs, but it's like a couple of months after. It's pretty much... This is one thing that they're doing with the Fate saga that I really love. Is like, you know, with the Light and Darkness saga, like, Beyond Light kind of played into Witch Queen, which kind of played into Lightfall. You know, there were kind of whatever, but you didn't have to play them all. But like Edge of Fate and Renegades seem like they are like the same story, which is sick. And I hope they do that with all 4 of these DLC or DLCs. But it's like a couple of months after, canonically. It's like right there, 2 months after Edge of Fate. Yeah, that's sick. That's really cool. Whereas with, you know, Lightfall and Final Shape, it was like, yeah, you know, it's been a year. We've just been looking at this portal, not doing anything. It's pretty sick. I can't wait to see how these tie directly into Shattered Cycle and Alchemist. Do we think Shattered Cycle is... I mean, we'll probably get more information here since this will lead directly into it. But do we have any indication if Shattered Cycle is Dreaming City or the Stranger Cycle? Or maybe something else? So, yeah, Renegades picks up after the events of Edge of Fate with the Drifter warning the Guardians of a threat led by a new Cabal faction known as the Barrent Imperium and a mysterious fallen guard named Bale. Embarking on a new mission without support from the Vanguard, the Drifter and other returning allies will form alliances with the growing network of syndicates within the New Lawless Frontier, all to take on the Barrent Imperium, fight back against the Fallen Guardian, and uncover a larger conspiracy that the Nine are working towards. Ricky S'mores, thank you for the Prime. 100% Dreamy City. It's got it. It's been teased. Where was it teased? This is one thing that I find really interesting. I think in Fallout's review, he said that, one second. Let me pull up Fallout's review. I want to see exactly what he says here. Because he said something that I did not agree with at all. Here we go.
So, in early November, I went
Shout out to Fallout, my homie. Love Fallout. But he said something here that was a little silly, I think.
Play Destiny, and maybe you tapped out recently, or even a long time. New exotic armor, how you feel about the state of the game right now. If you still enjoy playing right now, maybe not 100%
Where does he talk about the story?
No-liking the game, but you enjoy logging on once or twice a week to do whatever, yeah, you're probably going to enjoy this. But if you weren't incredibly wowed by the Edge of Fate and you're taking an extended hiatus from Destiny while waiting,
I want to know where he talks about the story.
Rocking changes to arrive.
Oh, low volume, sorry.
I kind of doubt this is going to move the needle for you. The only exception would be if you're a massive knew the invader was gone for good. Literally engage in a full video. Things
is that me?
Of the mode in minding the invader mode because better loot won. That was all.
Bro, I think that's him dunking on me.
It is possible for two invaders to get matched against.
You know what's really funny
other.
Is I include a clip of this same match where I dunk on him in this same way.
That was also kind of awesome. But things like all class. And that note, why don't we talk about my full-on feelings about Renegades as a whole?
I think it's right here.
If you used to play Destiny, and maybe you tapped out recently or even a long time ago, and you're here out of pure curiosity, peering over the fence and wondering the question, is Renegades the expansion that completely saves the game and ushers the franchise into a new golden age? The answer to that is no. Weapons look and weapons many Destiny. And I don't just mean visually and elemental keywords to clean windows. Even if you miss, the drop pod has and a fallen faction called the Pikers. Eventually you'll have the option to pledge loyalty to one.
I made them all pledge to the Totality Division because they're the fucking best
factions.
Where does he talk about the story, damn it?
From running smuggling operations for them, which can yield unique too far, which is probably for the best, but it did at least start on an interesting note. We have a new antagonist voiced by the in the footsteps of Dredge and Yor, and also convinced while we wait for the actual story in the Fate Saga.
Yeah,
Imagine the story in Renegades being anything other than maybe a fun sidetrack while we wait for the actual story in the Fate Saga to further develop. I'm sure that at the end of the Renegades campaign, they're gonna somehow tie things back into the Fate Saga to some degree. But again, the vibes I was getting early on were, yeah, this is a fun Star Wars themed side story, and we're probably not gonna find answers to the major questions that we've been looking for in regards to the overall Fate Saga. Although I would be—
Okay, so what I'm gonna say here is I love Fallout a lot, but he clearly did not pay attention because like literally within the first 40% of the first mission, it becomes very, very clear that there are major implications to the Fate Saga. Like literally right away. If you watch Rick, I think Rick uploaded the whole first mission here. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, so don't worry about major spoilers here. Anything crazy, but it becomes very apparent, like right away, that there are major implications. Where does? Oh, he plays without subtitles. That might make it hard.
Last few years. Their data. Maybe the encrypted data we stole has the answers your Lodi was on a.
I'm looking for, at some point Dredge and Bale speaks to you. No, it's way before this for sure.
slain Imperium.
Is he here?
You've done well to find him, Guardian. My new throne may be able to assist us against the Nine. Each slain Imperium soldier I shall attempt to tie...
Well, she specifically says against the Nine right there. But there is... Oh, there it is! Oh, look! Look who's talking!
Blood, the Nine on liberation.
Yes! Here we go. We are a third of the way into this mission.
I was right. The Nine ain't done with us.
Did you come for dredging hope? Or for me? The singularity of Kepler was to be the deliverance of the other Nine. Your blood spilled.
So my point being, yes, this is not just a side story. This has direct implications to the rest of the the Fate saga, including Edge of Fate. So that's the very first mission of Renegades. So I'm not really sure. I think Fallout just missed it, but it is not just a fun side story. It is quite clearly anything but that. So pretty funny, but yeah. It's not so much the Star Wars universe invading Destiny 2 a la Fortnite, but rather Destiny 2 leveraging its own lore for its take on a Star Wars story. What's interesting about this story with Renegades is that it's simultaneously the next phase of Destiny's 2 ongoing Fate saga, setting up changes to the galaxy's power dynamics, yet it is also an expansion that pays deep homage to the Star Wars series. It's not so much the Star Wars universe invading Destiny 2... Oh, I already read that, sorry. According to the game director, Tyson Green, Destiny 2 Renegades taps into a similar conceit to the Forsaken expansion and its space western revenge plot. But the opportunity to collaborate with Lucasfilms on a Star Wars crossover allowed them to take it further with a compelling crossover from the Renegades expansion. One of the advantages that the new release model gave us, which is 2 expansions a year, means you can experiment more within those individual expansions and you can try different things. So we saw what we wanted to do with a space western revenge story, and we figured, let's do it in that one. Let's aim for this. So we took the idea of Star Wars as total inspiration and built a Destiny expansion around it, and it's kind of how we always do it. In this case, I think it comes through much more richly because it's being more deliberate with its influences and style, but it's still fundamentally a Destiny expansion. Dude, I had the same exact thought when watching Fallout. I love Fallout, but bro had his headphones off. What's up, Ryan? Yeah. It's whatever. I always love going around and like reading and watching everyone's kind of takes from these events, because I think everyone takes so many different things. And I really love, this is just like a YouTube nerd thing, but I really love kind of predicting what I think everyone is going to do, and then watching what they actually end up doing and what content they make. I do want to give a quick shout out to a piece of content that I think is fucking phenomenal.
As soon as you open the...
I think everyone who was there did a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong. But there is one video I thought was just absolutely incredible. And I plan on doing not a vlog type one, but kind of a discussion video that's maybe slightly overlapping with what Mac is doing here, but different. I want to really get into the nitty gritty of things. But Mac has this video, Mactics, the truth of what actually happens inside of Bungie, and it's kind of like a little vlog style thing where he shows our PlayStations, and you know, he talks about what's happening. He talks to different creators. I had no idea he was doing this video, but it was phenomenal. I watched the whole thing yesterday. There's a lot of Rick Kakis in it. There's a lot of Dado in it. Phenomenal video. So after this, I highly recommend everyone go check that out, because I think that video is awesome. And really cool. And it's one of the things, like, this is the first time Bungie's allowed us to like record inside of Bungie, and a lot of people who are asking in my interview video with Ben Womack, a lot of people were like, what's this lighting quality? This sucks. Look, man, they had rooms set up for us. I just walked in there and recorded. Okay. But it's pretty good. Did anyone there ask about PvP maps? I'm sure Pure Chill or Frostbolt did. Or Zavalier. But, or Zavaler, sorry. But I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so. But they let us record inside, so it's pretty sick. I've not played Destiny in over a year. Based on everything you played with Renegades, would you recommend picking up the DLC with it being on sale? If you have ever been a fan of Destiny's story, I think Edge of Fate and Renegades are both worth playing if you care about the narrative of Destiny 2, because I think they are two, at least from we played obviously all of Edge of Fate, but from what we have played of Renegades, it's going to be continuing that. And it's some of the strongest and like best looking narrative that Destiny has had, I think, ever. Personally, I think Edge of Fate, from a narrative direction only, was stronger than Witch Queen, was stronger than Forsaken. Like, the narrative and kind of the cutscenes and some of the in-world delivery devices were unbelievably strong for Edge of Fate. The campaign, in terms of fun and like how dynamic the campaign is whatever. I think Renegades is going to be a lot better from what we played, just from like a content enjoyment standpoint. But if you care about the narrative and you can get in on this sale or this free-to-play weekend where you can play both for like $30 or $35 or whatever, I would recommend doing it. Reading these articles out loud is awesome community service. I appreciate you helping all the people in the community who can't read. Every day it feels like more and more, man. That's so good. That being said, if you only care about the narrative, just watch someone else's entire playthrough, no commentary, and watch it by vids. I think if that's something that interests you, sure. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like the pacing of like playing through it myself for a lot of things. But either way, like I think that the narrative should be commended for these expansions. So. Ball was a thing. I like Mr. Fruit's take. He said it's more Destiny, won't fix all the issues in the game, but if you like Destiny 2, you like Star Wars, it'll be enjoyable for those people. Yeah, very much. And I think, yeah, that's almost where I settled on too. Like I think from the gameplay aspect, it's more fun than what we've been getting. I especially like the Lawless Frontiers. I'm such a simp for. I think my 12 videos like glazing Lawless Frontiers really made that apparent. But once again, I'm just not sure like what the lasting impact of the Lawless Frontier will be. So. I don't understand why Bungie is releasing so much content, even spoilers. I'm not hyped anymore. Content creators giving out too much info on Renegades. I think it is the same quantity of info that we normally are allowed to give out, but the DLC is smaller, so it's a higher percentage. And I think Bungie's worry was if they kept the ratio the same and they allowed us to release like this or talk about the same percent of content, I think the worry was people would be like, oh, this DLC is like tiny, and they, and kind of rip on it that way. In my perfect world, all discovery would always be organic. You would know very little about DLCs, and then the community would experience them together. I think if Marathon showed us anything, it is that two things. You shouldn't shouldn't steal things. That's good life advice. And two, we are past a point in gaming where people will just trust that there are cool things that without marketing. People really need to have their hand held and see some evidence of there being cool things and secrets and mysteries and stuff. But yeah, you could also just like not watch the YouTubers' videos. That's a really good point as well. I wonder if Bale will be a part of the story for a while, or if this is a one and done expansion for him. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of expect to kill him in the dungeon, but the way Allison talked about it in something, in the Vidoc or in someone's video or something, it made me think like, oh, maybe he's around for a little longer than that. So. Allison mentioned that she wanted to use Bale more later on, yeah. Which is kind of like, it's a little disappointing because I wanted to kill him in the dungeon. I wanted to absolutely kill a Guardian in the dungeon. I think that'd be sick. So, we'll see. Already read that. On the surface, it can come off as an extended series of cheeky references and initially took some time to get used to the visual homages of Star Wars iconography, such as a near one-to-one creation of the opening of A New Hope, complete with movie-accurate sound effects. But I got more into it as I went on, and I appreciate the attempt at trying to make a front-facing mashup of sorts. This is somewhere where me not being a huge Star Wars nerd really paid off, because I didn't have this experience at all. It was like, there were times, really, the only time where I was like, oh, that's a clear Star Wars reference is like, obviously the Carbonite thing in the first mission. But then like some of the Lawless Frontier things, like as you're going through, it's like, oh yeah, I totally, that's the Hoth structure thing. Oh, that Cabal's hanging from the ceiling. That's clearly supposed to be like an homage to Luke hanging from the ceiling in whatever movie that was. Oh, the crashed X-Wing on Dagobah type of thing. Like, I had those, but it was more like oh, I'm proud of myself for getting that reference. I didn't have any of this where I was like, oh man, I can't focus because it's too Star Wars-y. So, yeah. Have we ever fought a person-sized boss in any raid or dungeon? Just Shirochi Kali would be the smallest bosses I think we've ever fought. Is that true? I'm sure there's a small servitor somewhere that we've fought. But yeah, the smallest that I can remember fighting are probably Shirochi and Kali. I love that they redid the trash compactor again, even though we already had one in Presage. Actually works as a cool nod to those who remember that Cabal ships have those. Yeah. Someone at the event mentioned it, and they were like, they did it. It might have been Datto. He's like, yeah, they did it again. I don't know. But Kevin from Sunder Doctrine. Oh, yeah, Kevin from, from Sundered for sure. But yeah, being a Star Wars fan made this worse for me, especially since I didn't really care for Star Wars anymore. That's fair. I just thought it's so interesting to see how different people are responding to this. I especially had a blast hopping into the giant walker to mow. I assume he means the behemoths. So far, feels like a good fit, and honestly, much of the Star Wars aspects fit, given that Destiny and modern sci-fi and fantasy media already has Star Wars DNA baked in. In keeping with the Star Wars connection, Renegades also introduces the new blaster weapon variant. I'm very curious to see if the blaster weapons are Renegades only, or if they will persist past Renegades, and we'll get new versions of them. That's a question I wish I would have asked while I was a Bungie, and I did not. They're essentially laser weapons that require venting to avoid overheating, which is a fair trade-off considering how useful they can be in a fight. To be clear, these aren't total new weapon archetypes, or rather new guns with a twist, some of which are variants of older guns like the Sweet Business Exotic. I think I would almost rather that they stay in Renegades and that we don't get more later. Like I think one thing that I don't know, like they're fun, they're awesome weapons and they're really fun to use, but I would almost make this DLC feel more unique and special if it was like, hey, there's these weapon types and you could literally only get them during this time. That might not be a popular opinion though. Ben said more blasters are fair game. There you go. Okay. It's hard because I feel like in Destiny a lot of times there aren't a lot of DLCs with like unique things. But I don't know. Blue is gonna get the TARS treatment, you think? Did anyone ask about wanting more exotics? Not really. I don't know, man. Like I'm sure some of us care about number of exotics or whatever, but I think a lot of the community is set on these, what I would call like superficial measurements of content, right? Like how many strikes did we get? How many exotics did we get? I don't really fucking care about any of that, right? Like the things that I truly care about, like when it comes to an expansion, how long will this content last? Like how replayable is it? How innovative is it? Does it feel significantly different than everything that came before? And does it change like core gameplay or sandbox in a meaningful way? I don't care if that comes in the form of 3 good exotics or 20 bad exotics. I don't really care if that comes in the form of 3 of the best strikes we've ever gotten or an entirely new activity that is completely different. I do care. I would almost always rather the new stuff, like the innovation, like pushing that. I think the community is really, especially the vocal part of the community, is really bad at being like, oh, no strikes, this is gonna suck. And it's like, I think people who are really deep in Destiny, we've moved past that as a metric. So and it's kind of like the armor exotics versus aspects things, like Bungie has said before, like, you know, with these new expansions, I think it was with the episodes specifically, but it's still almost certainly the case, like, a lot of the work that they put into new armor exotics would actually just go into new aspects instead. And so it's like, I don't really care how that is delivered to us. I care about the actual impact in how it changes the game, but I don't really care about the delivery device. So that's how I care. And like, how many times, like, yeah, sure, fucking, you know, Taken King brought us 28 exotics, but like 3 of them were good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care about getting 20 shitty exotics. That's just where I am. So I think a lot of creators are kind of on that same wavelength. So a lot of, I struggled to see a lot of people there asking like, hey, why are we only getting 3 exotics or whatever? I care much more about, like I said, like innovation, quality, the actual impact on the core game and game cycle and stuff like that. So, but, you know, I do think like a very somewhere where that can be kind of measurable is like Crucible maps, though. Totally understand. Crucible maps, new Crucible maps is usually an indication of how much care Crucible as a whole is getting. That is very different than number of new strikes. Like, the number of strikes we are getting is completely disconnected from the amount of new PvE content we are getting, but the number of new Crucible maps is almost always historically connected to the number of new game modes and like you know, innovations in general we are getting in Crucible. So I do understand that's the sentiment from that point of view, but from the PvE side of the game, I think the community is stuck in the past asking questions that aren't really indicative of the quality of the DLC anymore. And I think that's a vicious cycle we'll be in forever, to be honest. It was like 41 and 25 were good. There were not 25 good exotics in Taken King, bro. They're all blue weapons by today's standards. Well, not even. There's still stuff under NDA that they can't talk about. Not a lot. Not a lot. Especially Like, most of the stuff that's under NDA are, like, story spoilers from future missions we played. This looks fucking awesome. This looks like that one Black Ops 2 map. Or, Black Ops 2? Yeah, Black Ops 3 map? I don't know. Either way, looks fucking awesome. And then, like, we can't talk about the specifics of the lightsaber, but we were... In terms of percentage of what we were shown and what we can talk about, we can probably talk about most of everything this time. Oh, and the exotic, we obviously can't break down the exotic mission for you guys. Redwood, yeah. I actually played very little of this map, of the Venus map. It looks phenomenal. All the new tile sets are so fucking sexy, dude. Dumb Clinker faction. Totality division on top. Down with the Clankers. Boom, dude. These guys suck. That's just Chat GPT in a trench coat, bro. You have a guide ready for the new exotic mission already? I just can't prove it. I don't, but that's like actually a really fucking solid idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I think I have the once the DLC launches, we have to delete all of our footage. We can't use any pre-release footage once the expansion launches. But Totality division on top. If you guys aren't with the Cabal faction, you ain't with me. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know who would side with the Pikers. Like, you gotta have some you know, deep-seated issues if you're siding with the Pikers. But to side with the Clankers, dude, you just have to be an evil person. Why is Astacross teasing some big hopium? Fuck if I know, dude. We did not play the dungeon. We don't know anything about the dungeon other than what you guys played. And the weapons. How big are these maps relative to something like Reclaim? Oh, they are probably the size of all the Reclaim areas put together. Oh, wait, how many Reclaim areas are there? There's 3 in the Plaguelands. And what, like 2 in the Cosmodrome or something? Two Cosmodrome, 3 Plaguelands. I would not be surprised if the area was if there's 5 Reclaim areas and like 5 Reclaim bubbles. I would say some of those maps are goddamn near the size of all of them put together. They're pretty big. I would say somewhere in between, especially because the maps for Lawless Frontier, they're layered. Like, a lot of them have like a lot of verticality to them, especially the Europa one has a lot of verticality. I would say all 3 of them are easily 4 to 6 Reclaim bubbles in size. I would say I'm pretty confident in that. I would say. It's hard. It's obviously hard to get perspective, but they're all bigger than you think. I was very surprised with how big all of them were. IO overworld size? Let me pull the map of IO. That feels too big. That feels too big, but we can see here. What's the map where you could, like... Just be a map, like an interactable map. Yes! Yes! King Slay. This map. Wowie dev. It's gonna... Oh, is it not even available anymore? Oh my god, they sunset the IO map. That's crazy. Man, it is really fucking hard to find a good... Wait, is this it? This isn't all of IO, is it? If you take out the traversals... No, there's more up here, right? Like the Pyramidians up here? Man, it's been so fucking long. I would say, if you take out the traversal tunnels here... No, wait, this is Pyramidian. I'm really struggling to remember what IO even was like. No, these are the trees. What the hell was the rupture? This is where the Taken thing is? Oh, the rupture. This is Pyramidian. Yes. Okay. This is Whisper. This is Pyramidian. Down in the bottom left. Okay. Yes. If you take out all the traversals, IO, the overworld of IO, the three main areas are probably a little larger. Probably. You'll just see in fucking 2 days, guys. Like, it's in 2 days. But the for me at least, the Lawless Frontier maps were like pleasantly, surprisingly bigger than I thought. And we get 6 of them? No, we get 3 of them. We get 3. Unless there's... Wait. I was under the impression there was only 1 Mars, 1 Europa, and 1 Venus one. Are there 2 of each? Is it 2 per planet? Brother, I don't even fucking know what's happening anymore, man. They're big, okay? They're big. Just go in. Every map is like bigger than a patrol bubble, and just be happy with whatever you fucking get. I don't even know anymore, man. Now that you're saying there's 2 per planet, I don't even know how many I played. But the ones I did play, I remember like running for longer. I was like, wow, these are actually quite big. And then, like, some of them, there are unique areas, I think, for campaign as well. So I don't know. I think, unless they were on the other maps I didn't play. I don't fucking know anymore. That's not even good bait, RJ. You gotta try harder, dude. Can you sparrow on them? No. In the campaign, I think I don't remember. You guys have to remember, the footage came out last week, but I played like 3 weeks before that. So it's been a while. You can summon vehicles with your Renegades abilities. Can you give us your impression from Tyson Green's speech at the capture event where he basically apologized? Yeah, I was really surprised that Mac was allowed to mention that. Yeah, it was very sincere. I mean, he got up. It was probably a 5-ish minute talk. You could tell he was very nervous. It is just so. This is just one thing that really bothers me when I see the community like essentially like bullying Tyson, because I've met Tyson, I've had meals with Tyson, and he seems like a genuinely really great guy, but he clearly just doesn't like talking to large groups of people, and he's just not like a huge public speaker, and that's not something that is like, it's hard to conquer that sort of thing, you know what I mean? And so I would be surprised if at some point in time he doesn't get up in front of a camera, but there's a reason that he hasn't done like the Joe Blackburn approach, or even like, you know, Robbie Stevens is on the couch for all of the live streams. And I think that's because like clearly Robbie is much more comfortable speaking like that. And so, yeah, not to sound like a dick, but why not apologize to the player base? Why content creators? Well, I'm sure they're working on that, right? But the difference is we were there. We were at their home, right? And when you have people that you've invited to your studio and you're showing them the efforts of your work, that is a really great time to do like a practice run of apologies. And also be like, hey, this is what we learned and this is like where we're trying to go, right? Like, but an apology to 35 to 40 people in a closed environment doesn't need to necessarily be as polished as one that's going out to potentially millions upon millions of people, right? So that's why. But I do expect them to be working on like a full apology. And I would expect it to be on camera. But I think it's just like, you know, they certainly have PR that they have to work through. They certainly, you know, have to time it with marketing. Like you know, they don't want to do a Joe Cross. You know what I mean? Like this is something where it's always so obvious. Like you guys have to think, right? Like this isn't like a fucking Burger King employee apologizing for getting your fucking order wrong, right? This is a game director of one of the two IPs of a $4 billion studio that is owned by one of the largest multimedia companies in the entire world, right? Like any apology that comes out from the Destiny team has a lot riding on it, And once again, apologizing in a closed environment to like 30 to 40 people is very different than putting out a public apology that can actually like affect stock price and community sentiment and stuff. So that's super important. And I think that, you know, this is one of those things where I've kind of talked about like the things that originally set Destiny and Bungie apart. A lot of those have come back to kind of bite them in the ass, right? Like, you know, Destiny as a game was a huge innovator early on, and they were always innovating constantly and pushing and pushing and pushing. But as you do that, it becomes harder and harder and harder. And so you need more and more and more people to do that and to grow the vision and experiment. And then when things happen, like, you know, the whatever you want to call it, the mini COVID recession or whatever happened, and then they're not making as much money, and then, you know, they have to lay people off. They can't innovate or create at the same level. So the thing that was a boon to them now becomes their downfall. And you could say like a very similar thing is happening with like how personable and open they are, like their humanity, their relationships. Like Bungie has a very open relationship with the community in a way that not a lot of game studios do. And that allowed them to be kind of set themselves apart, but that means there becomes this kind of expectation of that relationship going forward. And if you have a series of fumbles in a row and you need to take time to recoup and really reassess the future and get your message together, the community is used to being super open and transparent, but, you know, business conditions and a lot of things kind of say that you have to take more time to kind of plan your future and dictate that message, right? You can't just spew out anything. And so what was a boon to them now is hurting them, right? And so it's like, it's a very, it's a complex relationship to have. But I do expect them to address it publicly at some point. I'm sure they are just getting their message together. They did zero innovation. Well, you didn't even spell innovation correctly, but you are clearly not, you clearly did not listen to what I said. Yo, Miss Punisher, we're doing great. How are you doing? So, but people saying there's been zero communication is really weird because Robbie has, like, on stream publicly apologized and, like, and done the whole, this is what the feedback we're hearing, this is what we can do in the short term, this is what we can do in the long term. He's done that now multiple times, right? Like, so it's not like there isn't. Robbie is the associate game director or assistant game director. He's the second game director of Destiny, right? Like, he is part of Destiny's leadership. So people acting like there has been no communication from leadership when Allison and Robbie are in, like, every fucking interview ever is kind of, and Ben is, like, right there as well, right? Like, there are three heads of the, like, the four main heads of Destiny leadership in terms of, like, that kind of middle management role. It's like, I don't know what people are talking about. And the roadmap article had an entire abstract about the wrongdoings. Yeah, that as well, right? So, I don't know. Robbie's clearly the face. When Robbie speaks, he speaks with the director's voice too. Yeah, I mean, he's part of the leadership there. He's clearly more comfortable in front of a camera. You know, it's just like, you know, I don't know, man. That's awesome to hear, Miss Punisher. I'm happy to hear it. We're still playing the same PvP strikes and raid system since Destiny 1. I don't even really fucking know what that means. Yes, Joe was the first person to mention the portal. Yes. But I also hope to see, I would imagine alongside whatever this bigger vision is, they said, you know, we're going to get a larger state of the game, a larger roadmap, whatever. And next year, I assume early next year, I would assume the apology that all of you guys are, like, literally lactating to the thought of. I'm sure that'll come around that time as well. If I had to imagine. So. We'll see, though. I don't know. By far the most unique weapon to acquire is the exotic Praxic Blade, Destiny 2's take on the lightsaber. Though similar to Destiny 2's existing power swords, the Praxic Blade is an exotic special weapon that deals heavy damage and grants Guardians the ability to deflect incoming enemy fire. Excuse me, and can even be thrown like a boomerang to deal ranged damage. It's a very satisfying weapon to use, and the exotic quest to acquire it was a strong mission that made me feel like I was taking on a trippy Jedi challenge. I don't use swords too often in Destiny 2. That's a self-report. But I ended up using the Praxic Blade a lot more than I thought I would, given how useful it was against crowds. Also, playing as my Warlock really allowed me to live out that Jedi fantasy within Destiny. Unlike the Final Shape and the Edge of Fate, the primary campaign of Renegades takes a less guided approach and doesn't steer you into the core mission to make progress. Outside of the key story missions that will take you to bespoke locales, the majority of action in Renegades focuses on building up your reputation within the Lawless Frontier, where you'll take on various missions ranging from smuggling, sabotage, and bounty hunts of key targets. Your new home base is the Tharsis Cantina in Mars. In this social space, you and other Guardians will build up your reputation to do the different... Yeah, sure. Oh, this guy would be a fucking clanker apologist, bro. Oh, man. Who the fuck lactates when they get excited? Please tell me you meant salivate. Oh my gosh, dude. Look at this guy. He doesn't know. He doesn't know, bro. Nah, dude. You guys are clanker apologists. It's crazy how many people like Vex with clothes in here. That's disgusting. That's disgusting, bro. The syndicates are an interesting addition and it really helped to showcase the cantina as a fully realized den of scum and villainy. And you can even bribe characters within the social space to get tips on secrets from the Lost Frontier. I didn't mention this, but that's actually something that I thought was really cool. Like, they have this new, like, UI thing where I think we used it recently. It was used somewhere recently. Oh, in Call to Arms. When you walked up to the chest in Call to Arms, did it not? I think there's like a UI thing that pops up. You don't have to enter a menu. It's like a little text box pops up, right? Did I make that up? Or did that actually happen? No, dripped Cabal on top, bro. Yes, it did happen. Okay. So that is tech that they developed for Renegades. And so you're walking around the social space and that text box will just pop up at random stuff. So there will be like guns you can buy, bam. So you don't have to enter a menu. It's just like a little thing pops up. There is a bribe function with that as well, which is really cool. And it's like, hey, you seem to have missed a secret within the Mars location or whatever. It's pretty cool. But what I really liked about the Syndicates in particular is that they felt like a more developed version of the faction system from Destiny 1 based IGN. In Renegades, you're actually helping these Syndicates amass power within the Lawless Frontier, which will unlock bonus Renegade abilities to use in the field of more specialized gear. This especially comes into play with some missions that focus on contested territories, which require you to take on priority contracts to help out your chosen Syndicate and secure them. Speaking with core creative director Ben Womack, I really like Ben, by the way. He's pretty cool. And I think his team has been doing a pretty good job with, like I said, like in my interview, like his team leads like events and stuff. And fuck, man, Call to Arms and Festival of the Lost, to me, that's some good shit right there. Very happy with what this team's been doing. Are you saying Dripped Cabal or PsyOp? Fucking excuse me? Dude. I hope Bungie brings some of the new things they implement on Marathon for Destiny 2. There is a burst SMG in the new expansion, which is something they did in Marathon first. You want less events? Asking for less Destiny content is truly a take. Yeah, I know, the drone's being bugged. Dude, and fucking Destiny Bulletin had the goddamn fucking nerve to tweet that out without sourcing my video. Fuck that guy, dude. Disgusting. I already read that. Sorry. The opportunity to make a Star Wars themed Destiny 2 expansion helped the team rethink elements in the game's signature style and structure. I think my big lesson that I learned is that when you're making something new, you often have a bunch of conventions and boundaries that you have to consider, especially for games that have been around a long time like Destiny. It's tempting to stick to those conventions as being boundaries of the rule, but the truth is that you need to re-examine all of them every single time when trying to really create something special and make a splash. This is especially true when having a partnership with Lucasfilm. We looked at how we made the sandbox stuff we've done and how when we now have blaster weapons that will stay with us going forward, seeing how the Praxic Blade turned out, and we will have various new syndicates that turned out well. There are things that we definitely wouldn't have done, but we had to accept and push past those usual boundaries to do these things, and as long as it's still fun and people are responding to it and the fuel is there, then it's the right decision. I was really impressed with how chaotic and exciting the Lawless Frontier jobs were. These PvE-focused missions felt like stepping behind enemy lines where you have to complete dynamic objectives. It really kept my team constantly on the move, and once the job was complete, we had to make one last sprint to the exfil to complete the mission, or else suffer the consequences. One of the big twists with these missions is that you can activate new Renegade abilities to call in support drops. I was able to summon a Vex Shield for protection, call in an aerial bombardment, or even activate battle armor to dish out help. What the fuck are you talking about? Battle armor? I don't think I know what he's talking about. Ryan, do you know what he's talking about? Battle armor? Or even activate battle armor to dish out and help even the odds? The brig thing? Well, he called it a walker up top. Yeah, maybe he must be talking about the ATST thing. That's not what battle armor is. Huh. I was really impressed with how chaotic and exciting Lost Frontier jobs were. Depending on the difficulty you're playing on. This is one thing that I stressed with them. Personally, this is something I very much dislike in Destiny right now. Where when there's a new activity, you have to pick the fucking difficulty, man. I am just like... I especially with the events. I detest when Festival of the Lost comes out and then I'm like, oh, I have to pick 12 different difficulties for Altars of the Haunting or whatever. I hate that. So as much as I love Lawless Frontiers, there's still the same fucking 7 difficulties or whatever. I fucking hate it. I hate it. Even though the activity itself is really good. Fucking hate that. The challenge can really ramp up quickly, especially when playing on a mission that allows for enemy player invasions. Much like the Gambit mode, a lone rival player can step into your squad's game and take you out to earn rewards for their syndicate. You can still opt out of missions with invasions. Still, it does present a fascinating and unnerving twist to the missions, and you're not totally punished for getting wiped out by a particularly devious player who can get the jump on you. Okay. I am really curious. Did they give it a grade? Or they don't give it a grade yet? Though I wasn't able to get a sense of the larger pursuit of power with my limited hands-on time, I did appreciate that Destiny 2 Renegades feels a bit more generous with its loot quality and ways to move up. And they said everything that we were getting in the footage was actually still on the old loot system, and they're going to be dropping higher tier than what they were dropping. These pain points in Edge of Fate made the progression a slog, but with Renegades, I found myself getting a lot more into the flow. Plus, I really liked how it allowed me to get the Praxic Blade fairly early on. However, I do worry about Destiny 2's new direction with the Portal Hub continues its menu-heavy focus. It's convenient for sure, but it's also a bit of a headache to navigate, and it lessens the motivations to visit the various social spaces and destinations. Based. So far, Destiny 2 Renegades feels like a proper step forward for the live service pioneers next chapter, making for a more player-conscious experience. It's certainly not looking to reinvent Destiny 2 with a new sprawling campaign, but rather realign its approach for getting players back into the right flow that doesn't feel like a drag. Along with the new Star Wars-inspired campaign that taps into it, it could end up being the right kind of course correction that Destiny needs, plus it's fun to see a Star Wars story play out in Bungie's universe. It's good. Good. Oh, it could be the turret as well, Fatebringer. Yeah, maybe. Why did you get a 25 gig update today? I did not have a Destiny update today. All right, I'm curious about this. This seems to be an actual interview with Tyson Green. Okay. This is one thing I wish I love reading articles, don't get me wrong, but I wish they would include the audio version as well. Just so when I'm like reacting to them on stream, I don't have to fucking destroy my voice reading for 3 hours straight. You know what I mean? Give me the audio version, damn it. Ryan, did you do the audio? Do you have an audio version? Or am I have to read yours too? Okay, I'll read yours. It's fine. I like reading, but you know. Copy paste into text to speech. That actually very, it may be one of the most influential and widely played online games, but Destiny 2 has been experiencing a rough patch as of late. That'd be pretty good, right? PS users got their Renegades preload today. So I mean, we're gonna start getting some data mines here. For years now, Destiny has been on the steady hardening of the core audience, explains game director Tyson Green. More and more core players are staying and playing the game, but relatively few new people come into the game. There's a tightening and contraction, and this presents problems for the game when you're trying to maintain as a live service, especially when you want to keep serving those core players with great, compelling expansions. Yo, Hammy, thank you for the 37 months, my fan. Get Ryan in the call to do interview dialogue with you. Oh, we'll do a table reading. I'll be all right. Following the launch of Edge of Fate in July, Destiny 2 saw a slump in player activity, not necessarily due to the vision of its new storyline, but rather in how it redesigned the flow of power progression to see the campaign through. Since then, Bungie has been steadily working to make changes to its build up its audience again, and the upcoming expansion, the Star Wars themed Renegades, will mark the developers' next effort to lay a better path forward. Okay, I might skip to the quotes. So this is from Tyson as well. The final shape brought things to a crescendo, where it's like a fantastic ending that tied off a lot of the threads, says Green. People were pleased and satisfied with what they played, and then the big downward spike in population came after. That happened because we ended the saga, so you get what you pay for, right? That wasn't the plan from the business perspective, Greens continues. We still want to keep making Destiny, and we still have so many stories to tell in this universe. There are still lots of things to do, and we have to keep building the game. Unfortunately, it was not gracefully managed, and we had to try something. The first step towards providing a compelling reason to return to Destiny following the following Final Shape arrived Edge of Fate, in which Bungie laid the groundwork for its next major storyline, titled The Fate Saga. It transported players to a new region of the space where they came into conflict with the enigmatic 9 faction. This new campaign introduced a new story. See, this is all stuff we know. We looked at the problem that we had after the Final Shape, and we said, we think there's a route here, which is leaning into more systems of pursuit, getting new tiers of gear, armor sets, and power progression, and things like challenge customization. These things that can allow for a core audience of players to really say, like, I'm going to take this game and put it through its paces and get good rewards for it. It sounded great on paper, but it didn't work. I think we've been taught a bunch of hard lessons about what our players want, and there are really two types of live games. One that listen to players and respond, and those who don't. And we don't want to be a dead live game. We want to keep building Destiny. Damn. Really calling out Anthem. It's pretty crazy. So we're listening to our players, and what our players are telling us is that they don't want to chase a simple number that goes up. They want real rewards. I gave that exact feedback like a year ago, by the way. Almost like a year. Maybe even longer than a year ago at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I have a question for you guys. I always wanted Destiny to have more MMO elements like housing and really open maps. Do you guys think this would be good on future updates? I do. I think these are things that if there is going to be a Destiny 3, I think, because if you start to implement these things into Destiny 2, that means Destiny 3 makes less of a splash. I think like you save like the true MMO fucking crazy thing. If Destiny 3 is less, if there is ever going to be one, and it is less than 6 years away, 7 years away, or whatever. Like if it's going to happen in our like in the lifetime of us playing video games, reasonably, save all of the big MMO stuff for it is probably what I would do. But I don't know. I also think Destiny 2 has too many overarching and like overlapping systems currently, and so if you build MMO systems on top of that, it's gonna feel fucking ridiculous. So but careful, that's a Destiny Bulletin article in the making, dude. Fuck them. One day I'll make a fake account, I'll DM them some fake information, and then I'll laugh at them when they make an article about it. It's gonna be sick. No load zones and have overlapping space activity spaces like the vault door opening and patrol zones. Yeah, stuff like that. One of the advantages with the new release model gave us, which is 2 expansions a year, means you can, we read this in the last interview, means you can experiment more with those individual expansions. You can try different things. And I actually do really like that. I like how different Edge of Fate and Renegades feel. And I actually really like how different they feel and how close in proximity we are getting them. That feels very good. I am a little worried because Edge of Fate was like pretty short. In terms of like, I think it was a month and a half short. It was like 4.5 months. It wasn't 6. And so, I haven't looked at the dates. I'm sure we have them. But if Renegades is supposed to be a full 6 months, I am worried about how that translates and how that feels. So, we'll see. So we saw what we wanted to do. Oh yeah, okay, we read that last one. We're fine. While you're, oh, okay, wait, this is okay. That's pretty. It's half of what we read in the last one. All right, we're gonna read Ryan's now. Bungie on an old drifter, getting that Star Wars blend just right, bugs and more in Destiny 2 Renegades. This was the Allison and Robbie. Cool. As part of the preview event for Destiny 2 Renegades at Bungie HQ in early November, I was able to sit down with 2 of the creative minds behind the Star Wars themed expansion. Assistant game director, it is assistant, not associate, Robbie Stevens, and narrative director Allison Lurs. In our 20 minutes together, the 3 of us covered a lot of different Destiny topics, both about Renegades and the state of the game since Edge of Fates. Below, you'll find our complete interview with minor edits for clarity, or in the case of my questions, only brevity. Something that's important to us at Rogue is humanizing the development process. So I'll ask you now, so you have time to think about it, and we'll circle back around at the end. You guys have gotten pretty good at eating crow at Bungie with no excuses from us, we're going to fix it type of stuff. But what is something that you both, from a narrative side and from a directional side, wish was better understood in the community and gaming as a whole about the difficulties of making games? I'll swing back to this later. Sorry, I'll make this text a little larger. Okay. The Vidoc makes it clear that we're getting a perfect blend of Star Wars and that's getting a perfect blend of Star Wars and Destiny was a goal from the start. Ben mentioned when I was talking to him that there was a lot of stuff that you guys tried that didn't work, which I think is almost as interesting at what is here that blends really well. I'm curious if there's anything that comes to mind that you guys can talk about that was like, this doesn't feel enough like Destiny, or this is too much like Star Wars. Also, in my stream yesterday, I learned from Allison that staff designer is the same as lead designer. Yeah, like B&T tracks can get kind of freaking weird, like the names for stuff. We remember we might have a Pantheon event. We should have a Pantheon equivalent coming with Shadow and Order. Whether it's Pantheon, Rights of the Nine, something like that, we'll have. So, do you know how funny it'd be if Destiny 3 gets made, it gets set in the far future, and when we see the world that's Dark Age style, not progressively stabilized utopia? As long as the story's good, I don't really care what it looks like. Allison, sure thing. Initially, when we started off this collaboration, we were so terrified about not getting Star Wars right, so we zeroed in on like, okay, what is the vibe, the aesthetic, and everything of Star Wars? Aria had it easy because everyone knows what Star Wars looks like. The sound design had it pretty easy too. We were able to use a lot of the authentic sounds that are in Star Wars, which you can hear, and it makes everything feel even better because that blaster sounds like a blaster. The Praxic Blade sounds like another thing that it looks like. And for the narrative, we were in a really weird position because, okay, we're not using the characters, we're not using the locations, and we're not using a lot of the concepts that exist inside of this IP. So what do we use? One of the early lessons that we learned, no quotes. And I talked to Allison a lot while I was there. And yeah, she was like super adamant about no quotes at all. No, not in the lore tabs, not in the story, not little jokes. Which I thought was really interesting because I thought the take everything that I have or whatever, I thought for sure. I think we heard that. We heard that somewhere. I don't remember if we heard it in the Vidoc or what. I know it's in the dungeon trailer. But I definitely heard it while I was there somewhere, because I was like, that's not a Star Wars quote. That sounds so Star Warsy to me. When Treasure Bale says, 6, take everything that I have, or whatever. I thought for sure that was a Star Wars quote, but I guess not. So, quotes feel bad. They take you immediately out of the experience. We want people to remain immersed inside of the game. Another easy lesson that we learned early on was that copying the beats also didn't work. If we tried to maintain the structure of A New Hope, for example, it would feel pretty Star Wars, but it stopped feeling like Drifter, and it stopped feeling like Ido, and it stopped feeling like Eris. And so we managed to tool around with it and eventually landed on the right meat. The right combination of the archetypes of Star Wars made sense, filled with the characterization of Destiny. I do have to say, I was very surprised that the Carbonite stuff of Destiny, of Renegades, it happens in the opening cutscene, and it's resolved by the end of the first mission. And just like vaguely remembering watching those movies, that's not at all how that works. I think that's the end of movie and a beginning of movie, I think, right? Is that the end of 5 and the beginning of 6? Maybe I make, or the end of 4, the beginning of 5. I don't fucking know. I think. And so it was very surprising to me that it like opened up on it. It was like it was opened up on it, resolved by the end of the first mission. It's like, okay, that's a cool homage. It plays into the bad guy. You guys haven't met Dredge and Bale yet, but sort of the stasis plays into Dredge and Bale, I guess I'll say, and I think that's pretty cool. Gets stuck in the last 30 minutes of 5 and is out within the first 40 minutes of 6. There you go. And so it's interesting that that's the beat that they decided to start on. And Allison mentioned in the Bife interview that they decided to go with like a vague A New Hope kind of structure, but remix it for Renegades. And I just think it's really interesting that they put the Carbonite beat like right at the beginning of that. I thought it was a cool way to kind of get you into the middle of the Barrens Imperium like right away. Feels really good. Yeah, Drifter's in this a ton. Eris was in it a lot more than I thought, but not as much as Drifter. Ido gets a lot of screen time too. I think all the characters were represented. I was really surprised because Allison mentioned in the Bife interview that Zavala shows up and he's in this, but as far as I remember, I don't think Zavala was in anything we played. So that might be like a later story beat, and I was a little surprised to hear her comment on that. And Honor as well is all over the story. I'd say Honor and Drifter have the most screen time from what we played. How good is the villain? So fucking good. Dredge and Bale is awesome. Yeah, I would say if I had to, based off of what we played only, I would say like Drifter, Honor have the most screen time, Dredge and Bale right below that, and then probably Eris below that. But once again, we only played like 3 missions, so. And most of it, we didn't see any of the story stuff for, so. Who the hell knows? How breedable is Dredge and Bagel? What? I don't think Guardians can have kids. So, I don't know. Is Dredge and Bagel a Guardian? I think I asked this last time, right? Because we never see his ghost, but I think people said he did have a ghost. I have a question about Honora. How would you say she's characterized? Is she similar to the lore? Or that's a Bife question, man. She seems kind of like a hard ass. I don't know what she's like in the lore. Zavala had an adopted son. She's a cop? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Ryan brings up a good point. She's a cop. But I don't know. I also don't really is there a big difference? Are the Praxic Order and the Hidden, are they related at all? Because I don't know why. I kind of felt like they are related, but then the Hidden haven't really been mentioned at all. So, did you see any Eververse? We are one of the rules that we are very explicitly given is we are not allowed to really talk about any of the microtransaction stuff ever from these pre-events. No, but she's in both. Oh, well, shit. Do you think Star Wars Shadow and Order is also Star Wars themed? No, probably not. I'm sure they would have to pay like an additional license, since that's a another expansion of sorts, another update of sorts, and it's free. So probably not. The Hidden were in Witch Queen and Sundered. Oh yeah, they were. You're right. They're just the random fucking NPCs. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I don't know what Shadows in Order would even be. I don't, to be completely honest, guys, after Ash and Iron, I am like, I have negative hype for Shadow and Order. I literally do not care at all, with the exception of whatever the Pantheon or Rights of the Nine thing ends up being. Other than that, I literally do not, I'm not giving any fucking time to that at all. Like, until they give me a reason to care, I'm not gonna care about it. So begin with this foundation that built something really interesting. On top of it, Dredgen and Bale, probably Dredgen and Bales, or the Dredgens and Bales are a really good example. If we took Revan, Kylo Ren, yeah, her and Bife nerded out about Knights of the Old Republic a lot. I don't know what, I've never played those games. I don't know what a Revan is, but cool. We took Revan / Kylo Ren and added some pizzazz from Destiny on top of it. We're able to make something that feels new and fresh for our IP, and it's a character that we want to take with us outside of Renegades too. Yeah, there we go. We're going to see him again. Yeah, I'm a big believer in taking those things. So, confirmed, probably doesn't die in the dungeon, or if he does, we get like Force Ghost. So... and even then, there's a lot of challenge I know y'all are dealing with, and I remember I get the pleasure of looking at everything and giving feedback across the place, across the team. And I remember a few times with Allison looking at some of the stuff with Kylo. I mean, with Dredgen, who's inspired by... Yeah, he just calls Dredgen Bale Kylo here. That's a good clip, actually. That's good. It's pretty funny, because as not a Star Wars guy... In the Bife interview, Allison was like, oh, yeah, they combined 3 people for Dredgen Bale. The only one I knew was Kylo, and it was probably this Revan guy and another one. Look, I know, like, very few Star Wars baddies. And it definitely wasn't Starkiller, who is one of the only ones I know. So, I don't know who it was, but... I thought that was pretty funny because as a not Star Wars guy, Dredgen Bale just feels like Kylo Ren. Like, it's just, like, identical. And, I'm sure there's differences. I just don't know what they are. Oh, yeah, I bet internally they probably did refer to him as Kylo as well. That's a good point. Play Knights of the Old Republic. Please, so worth it. Maybe at some point, I don't know, man. I did. But I remember there's a few spots, a few dialogue deliveries, 1 or 2 cinematic moments where I was like, Allison, we're too close and we need to push it apart a little bit. And that's been the challenge of this, but it also gives us a lot of creative fuel. It's a lot of excitement in order to do it. It's funny that you mentioned the art side, because while I think the art side in some of the categories has been easier, a lot of that's because there's so much Destiny visual language that is already so good that a lot of it is how do we just turn it to love. Oh my fucking Jesus Christ, Robbie, take a breath. It's funny that you mentioned the art side, because while I think the art side in some categories has been easier, and a lot of that's because there's so much Destiny visual language that is already so good that a lot of it's like, how do we turn it to love and how do we make it feel new? Not only did I need to take 4 breaths during that sentence, I have literally no idea what he's trying to say. How do we make it feel fresh? Even on the maps around the Lawless Frontier on Venus, Mars, and Europa, we had some early executions of those where they weren't hitting those postcard key set pieces that you'd expect from the inspirations we're pulling from. And it wasn't a matter of like, oh, those visuals are important because they must be there in order for players to feel it. Actually, the core problem was it didn't feel unique enough. There are new locations. We want them to feel new. We want them to feel fresh. We want them to feel changed and different because of the Baron Imperium being there, or the Pikers being there, or Tharsis Reformation messing around. And so even though there was a piece of like, okay, can we creatively execute on this by using homages and set pieces and leaning into them, a lot of it was actually through the lens of how do we make them feel new? How do we make them feel fresh and exciting to run around in? And that's something I will say, like, I will say the Mars locations feel very Marsy, but the Venus locations have almost like a different color palette. Like, I feel like Destiny 1 Venus was very green, and the Venus here is like more blue tinted. Like, it's a lot more, there's like trees and shit, but it's a lot blue. You know, it feels blue. You'll see. And then like Europa just, you know, it was on a snowy planet, but it didn't necessarily feel like Europa, which I thought was cool. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of fine-tuning for a very, very long time, but the team really did find the rhythm after a while. It took a lot of iteration, trying stuff out. I also thought Cross was teasing that he knows about Destiny 3 in his video, but to be clear, we saw nothing about Destiny 3 at Bungie, so no idea what that is. Yeah, I don't know either, man. I just want to see, I love hearing the Year 1 music in the background. The title screen is looped around to the Red War soundtracks. It's cool that they keep all of those in the game to do that. Damn, Robbie's got that lung capacity. Man, was it definitely a track runner, dude. Random, but any updates on mementos? No. They haven't really talked about any of the crafting or anything at all. When you're trying to tell this big overarching story after the Light and Darkness saga ends after 10 years, and you're trying to start something new, there's a reality where, from a narrative perspective, you're like, great, this Star Wars shit just got dropped on us. How are we going to mix that in? What was the process of still trying to make sure the Destiny story mattered? It seemed like the goal was to make sure the story of the 9 didn't feel like it was on hold while we deal with the Star Wars man and his Star Wars problems. So what do you do when you get the task of, okay, it's time to make something unmistakably Star Wars in the middle of the story you're already making? You start by pattern matching. You start by looking at 2 things. This is Allison, by the way. 2 things that you need to make work together, and you find the stuff where it overlaps. You find the little parts where you're talking to each other. Or, okay, we're doing a Star Wars, and I'm looking at the Fate Saga, and there's a lot of commonalities between the theme overall, but also in between the small things that we want to talk about. Giant cosmic questions about what does fate mean is something that's deeply applicable in both of our IPs. So great, that already works. We can also look at things that speak to Destiny and go, okay, if this works with Destiny, how can we make it work with the Fate Saga? Dredgens are a really good example of that. And I think also, she mentions in the Bife interview that when this directive came down, like the confirmation of this came down, they were still writing the Fate Saga. So I'm sure it was easier that it came now rather than like a year from now as well. Red subclass confirmed in New Lucky Tempe Tyson Green Robbie interview. Really weird that they spent multiple expansions refining and balancing crafting in terms of quantity, and then they threw it all out in Edge of Fate. Yeah, but no. I do think they pulled the ripcord a little too hard on that one, I think. Yeah, we wanted to bring the Dredgens back well before Renegades, well before the collaboration. We just couldn't find the right time to do it. We couldn't find the right reason. And then this pops up and like, hot damn, there we go. It is so weird to me. I had never thought about it. I know I keep referencing it, but it was a really good interview that you guys should watch after this stream. Bife and Allison, like, they pointed out today that Dredgen Bale is the first time we've ever seen a Dredgen on screen as well, because, like, the Drifter doesn't really count. And that's fucking crazy. That this, like, fundamental, one of the fan favorites parts, like, the fundamental parts of you know, of that time in Destiny, it like just never been really explored that much, and when it has been explored, it's just been kind of like around them. It's so weird that we've never seen one, and I can't believe I've never put that together. So yeah, it's just crazy, man. What about those damn Nightfall Ciphers and Trials ones? Fuck if I know. I don't know, man. But kind of crazy. We need a Dredgen to feel Destiny-ish, and once we've got that thing in Destiny, we can find a connection to the Fate Saga. We were playing Renegades at the same time we were playing the Fate Saga overall, so this wasn't a thing that was tossed in like, no, oh, well, sorry, I just said this. I stole thunder here. Now we have to make it work. It was an opportunity. It was already there, so we built around it and built into it, if that makes sense. I love the comparison points you're talking about, because literally even before we were talking deeply of the story and stuff with Lucas, one of the first pitch decks we actually created and sat down, I remember showing around to Allison and a bunch of people to see how they're feeling. But I was like, I sat there and I grabbed the Orange Driver, the exotic weapon, and one of its ornaments that has this metal and wood look, and I put that next to the Mandalorian sniper rifle. And you're looking at it, you're like, those materials feel so close. I don't believe you. We're fact-checking Robbie on this one. What do you say? Which one? One of its ornaments has this metal and wood look. I'll be the fucking judge of that one, dude. What do we got going on here? Okay, I kind of see it. I kind of see it a little bit. I think. Is it not this one? Open hands? Oh, it could be this one. Could be that one too. That one actually does feel closer. Okay, fair enough, Robbie. Fair enough, Robbie. A screenshot of the Drifter with his arms crossed in front of the Gambit moat bank, and then Han Solo in front of the Millennium Falcon in the Falcon in the Hoth Cave. It's that classic cinematic shot from Empire Strikes Back. Jabba the Hutt next to Spider side by side, and we're sitting there and we're going, we're so close. And so it was one of those things where it's like, you talk about rhyming with patterns, and then other things from the earliest ideas that we were kicking around from our collaborators with Lucas, that was at the heart of a lot of it. It was just finding a Venn diagram and that overlap. All I want to emphasize that the most important part was making sure that we weren't negating anything that the player believed in the world around, and believed about the world, excuse me. And we weren't telling them like, haha, joke's on you. There's always been Darth Vader here. We didn't want to surprise them and tell them, you fool for paying attention. That's something that makes it feel like that the thing that you believe is wrong. We want to have surprising moments that leaned into the Destiny story. And I know you said no direct quotes, but what are the chances that this whole thing ends with the somehow Emperor Callus return? Am I the only one who's hoping for that? Oh no. I promise we made that joke internally 1,000 times. Okay, very good. Glad to hear it. That's not a no. He already returned once, technically. Yeah, but he's the best. He is the best, and I miss him too. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. I'm someone who enjoys the logistics of things, and so I'm the person that's like, where's the Marvel book that talks about the logistics of the blip and the infrastructure that got broken down from that? And so similarly, I enjoy thinking about things like, why are certain Guardians like Osiris old, whereas Drifter is young, even though he's a much older Guardian? And now Drifter is old. I know him and Eris are together, but usually happy people put on weight, not extreme age. So, and I can't imagine it's something to do Oh, and I do imagine it's something to do with being exposed to the singularity of 3 in Edge of Fate. But what's the process of permanently aging a Guardian so even on resurrections they come back old? The 9 can do things that the Light can't. The 9 control the rules. They are the rules, and that includes the rules of paracausality as well. And so what that means is that in that moment where he got too close and became 9-touched, as he call it, he managed to kind of slip through time a little bit and get around those rules that are set in place by the 9 by happenstance. We wanted narratively to have something happen to him physically to show the impact that this moment was going to have on his character. That's why we start off in Renegades with him in a place of anxiety and searching. This doesn't feel like a drifter who's got all of his shit together, because he doesn't. This is something that's really interesting, because if I'm not mistaken, during the Chestiny cutscene, I swear he gets old. And then gets young again. And then he actually ended up getting old. Does Milo have it in his video? We're going to open up Milo's video here if it loads. There we go. So if you watch this cutscene, what's up, Milo?
Some folks.
So like, I think it's here actually. It'll show Drifter.
Folks just run.
So I think he gets old here for a second. Yeah, he does. He gets old for a second, and then he gets new again.
I had to.
So it's interesting that they teased that before the expansion ever came out, which I think is pretty cool. He's very disturbed by the visions he's been given. Yes, and by his realization at Edge of Fate that people aren't the ones controlling fate. There's something else bigger than us, and we wanted to show that visually. We want to represent that in the lore, and we wanted to demonstrate that the 9 can be more powerful and can have an impact over paracausality in a way that we didn't understand before. And that's reinforced by the events that happened in Renegades. It's like how the 9 do time shenanigans, but they can't pull from other timelines entirely. Yeah. Dude, Chastity was really peak. Slight issues on this. The 9 do not control the rules. The rules are paracausality, and they bypass them and manipulate the rulebook to get by. They never actually being that set in stone rulebook themselves. Look, man, I'll let you guys fucking argue about that. I don't know. Yo, Osmi, thank you so much for the 8 months. Appreciate you very much, my friend. Does this mean however old you were when you died before getting resurrected in your ghost is how you look forever? That's how I've always interpreted it. But yeah, that does raise a question. That's a good point. Like, what controls your aging, right? Is it the resurrection process? Is it just having a ghost in general? Like, yeah, are Zavala and Eris and Osiris aging now? I don't know. Yo, Amir, what's up? Dude, I'm doing very well. How are you doing? 2 days. Do you guys believe it's kind of wild that this comes out on Tuesday, by the way. That's just nuts. Would that mean that there's possibly an infant guardian out there? Dude, I do want it. Like, that would be a baller story arc. There's just like a 10-year-old guardian just tearing shit up. That'd actually be fucking fire. Yeah, Shin Malfur. Wait. Wait. Did Shin... How did that work? Sorry, it's been so long since I've read all of those lore books. So it was Jaren Ward died and then his ghost went to Shin? Allegedly, right? Sort of. Or that's the idea? I don't fucking know. I'm sure they'll retcon that part at some point. We'll go back and we'll meet all those people. I don't fucking know, man. I feel like something that people are curious about has to be addressed. I know it's complicated because of staffing issues and things that have happened in the past year, but this feels like a time where the game is more unstable than it has been in a while. You've changed a lot in the last 6 months, and I know it can create issues, but when you're asking people to spend a lot of time grinding for something, hitting that bug wall feels much worse. Understanding that there's a cost to bugs in terms of both player sentiment and in terms of dev times, is there anything you can say to assure players that this is because you're moving very quickly, or is this something that in order to get new stuff in this current age is just going to be something people are going to have to accept, that the game is going forward is going to be a bit buggier? Robbie says, so I think Edge of Fate, Year of Prophecy, and Renegades the entire year here, a big part of this was people wanting change, asking us to make changes to the game, asking for new things to do, new things to explore, new different ways of even playing the game, and change is messy. And the thing that I think we will own and acknowledge is probably parts of the game where we went too far and we changed too much too quickly. And with that comes a tax, and that tax is how much we need to then react to those things that aren't working, how much we change. I don't think Robbie knows you're talking about bugs. Now there are things that that have gone pretty well, right? There's the armor stat. He's not referring to bugs here. There's the armor stat change, the set bonuses that come with them. He's just talking about things they tried to do and didn't hit. But Ryan is asking about bugs. There's tier 5 weapons themselves feel high even though we've created a new problem because we've sped up so much of the progression that we need to find a new exciting chase. And we're clearly trying to do that. You'll see it with the blasters and the Proxic Blade having tons of customization, gameplay, and cosmetic depth there. Having more cosmetic pursuits just inside of Renegades, all up with each of the syndicates, which is not something we had in Edge of Fate at all. And also, y'all seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet because we want everyone to experience it for the first time, but we're actually going to have these alternate delighter perks on the blasters as well. So even if you earn a tier 5 blaster, there's still going to be a pretty deep chase to earn the alternate origin perk version that are going to be a new perk. I'm really excited for that. Super hot for them as well. And I'm only hinting at this or hiding this because there's some stuff coming very, very soon. Because a lot of it is in direct reaction to the changes that we have to make because of how fast we have to move in order to... what is that? And I'm only hiding this as there's some stuff coming very, very soon because a lot of that is in the direct reaction to changes we have to make because of how fast we've had to move in order to write. Dude, fucking Robbie! Jesus, brother! What? Because we have to move in order to start to right the ship on the speed of progression and how it feels. And so I think the reality, though, still remains in order for our game to continue to evolve, and we're trying our best in order to make it feel different in right ways and change in ways that are somewhat sustainable for us developers. And also, frankly, our main goal is just excitement and fun. This guy doesn't fucking breathe! He just goes. He just sends it. Jesus Christ, brother. I don't know even. He didn't answer the question, which I think, he's probably doing a ton of interviews about, whatever. So I'm sure he has these not canned responses, but questions he's expecting. I think he totally missed that this was about bugs. I think he's teasing something that's coming soon that'll help with the deep progression chase, maybe? Robbie in his spare time does underwater basket weaving. Holy. Yeah, he is super passionate. That's one thing, I think Robbie's speech style comes off way better on camera, I think. Because he's a very charismatic person. You can tell he really likes the camera, or he's really comfortable with the camera. He really likes having conversations. He sits with us when we're at Bungie. He always sits with us during lunch. And he's always... And one thing I fucking love about Robbie is you'll say something, and he's like, let's have a conversation about that. I'm going to push back a little bit. And then he'll actually kind of not argue with you, but kind of he'll push back. And he's like, okay, what if I were to tell you this is the actual truth, and you know, you'll have a deeper conversation. Like, Robbie's a fucking awesome guy to have a conversation with, but holy shit, when you're reading what he's saying, it seems like this guy never breathes. But yeah, I think this means... So I think he mentions the alternate origin perk, which is, you know, very similar to... holy shit, I got a huge knot in my hair. Oh, goddamn. Oh, my God. My poor hair. Very similar to the heretical arsenal in episode of Heresy. But I think he's saying there's something in addition to that coming very, very soon that is also a response to this. But I don't fucking know. I think that's what he means. There are going to be bumps in the road. It's going to happen. There's more bumps than we wanted. And like I said, a big part of that is we acknowledge we probably changed too much. We probably should have tried to innovate a little less and focus on a little bit more on focus a little bit more on smaller bites of the apple. So definitely acknowledge that. Okay, so sorry, I do need to say because it's such a big spot. I think you've seen Ryan. We've deeply committed to trying to move fast as we can, and we're not letting up anytime soon in that regard. You move sometime. Oh yeah, things break. Yeah. Okay. So nice try two times trying to bring it back to the bugs, but I think they just totally missed that. I don't know. But anyways, I'm interested to see what the hell that's talking about. I think it's my last question, so let's circle back around. Destiny players are, let's say, passionate and get angry very quickly. Lots of gamers do that. And I think there's so much that could be understood that isn't about the process of making games and why they just fix it like this bongo solutions don't always work. So is there anything that you've come to that would be good for the community to know about game development? Robbie says, I think the main thing that I think anyone can understand, you don't even have to be a game developer. If you're like, let's use a metaphor here, you're like, you have $100 and you have to make their choice of what you buy with that $100 to make the best possible meal for your family, your friends, or whatever. But you know what? You only have a half a day to do it. Go. I think a lot of people don't understand. Jesus fucking Christ, Robbie. I think a lot of things that people don't understand is that even though we do a lot of planning, we do as best as we can to stay ahead of the curve of how people might react to something, do a lot of theory crafting of the decisions we're making. At the end of the day, you only have so much time, so many resources. And on a game like Destiny, it's a big game. We've been doing this for a while. Expectations are pretty high, rightfully so. Players should expect awesome Destiny content from us, and we want to deliver as best as we can. It's sometimes a reality of how much time we have to truly cook, to truly react. And then at the same time, if things are struggling in the live game and the right thing to do by players is to react to that and do our best to react immediately, that does come at a cost, and that cost is some amount of future work that we're doing. We now have, oh my fucking God, is some amount of future work that we're doing. We now have some amount of less time for. I don't expect anyone who plays Destiny to accept that as an excuse or a reason for us not to make changes or whatever, because I think it's still on us in order to do the best that we can with all the great people we have on the team and the time we have, but it's just a reality we have to live in. Holy shit. Oh my God, dude. Jesus Christ. I fucking love Robbie, dude. Alistair says, mine feels more myopic since I'm speaking strictly to just stories. Sometimes our job is to make something that makes sense more than it is to be the ones unraveling a grand tome of perfection. Sometimes our job is to take something that's part of the play experience and just make it something that you can wrap your head around, rather than we design this perfect story experience to unravel from the very beginning. It is perfect from top to tail. Games is a unique medium in that we don't have a singular person whose singular brain is deciding what everything looks like. Robbie says it's very different than movies in that way. Allison, it's very different from movies and TV. Exactly, we're collaborative. This is a structure that's dependent on 400 people all managing to work together to make something, and sometimes that means you have to live in a society. Hey, no fucking quotes! And that means working together. Robbie, and it comes from a lot of with a lot of positives and a lot of people being excited about ideas and then finding the best ideas by working together. And sometimes it's like a struggle group because one group is like, I really care about this. The dynamic, the juxtaposition here of Allison's sentences to Robbie's sentences are awesome. This is so fucking good, dude. Jesus. And we're like, we know, but the player, it's hard for the players to understand it or feel it, right? And we're not just hitting the bar, so we need to work on it so it's about the player first. And Allison says, and sometimes that turns into magic, right? The decision of we're going to do this collaboration is something that we get told, and we're like, okay, what does that open up for us? And it opened up a lot of really, really cool stuff. Robbie, it really did. I mean, I think I said it before, but it was so much fun, creative fuel. But through the lens of players are just asking for change. People just want to see different things in Destiny. Allison says, let's surprise them. Robbie says, and so that was at the heart of a lot of everything we did, pretty much. Allison, I want to hit an assumption of what Destiny game is and what we wanted to surprise them. I was told I could ask one more quick question. You spoke a little bit about it, but riding the great ship of Destiny is something that takes time because you have 400 people that'll have to move, but the movement is pretty fucking quick. In terms of how long I've been following the game, this is one of the faster times I've seen you guys move to overhaul systems. To Robbie, what is the process of making those logistical decisions of we're going to pull people off of doing something that's coming in the future to move them onto a fix for the live game? What is that process from gathering feedback from the community team, etc.? And to Allison, this is 2 questions. This is not 1 question, this is 2 questions. And Allison, when the game was mildly on fire, how much does that impact what you guys are doing on the narrative side? How much does it impact your day-to-day? Robbie says, so it probably impacts mine a lot compared to Allison. It's silly, it's Allison. I'm sorry, I mean, okay, whatever. Holy shit. The best way I can answer this is we take inputs from everywhere. We take inputs from the community team. We read the internet ourselves. Sorry, yeah. It's reality, and we formulate the plan based off of both hard data and anecdotal data that we're getting. Oh my fucking God, dude. And the reality is, yeah, sometimes there's something being said somewhere in the corridor of the internet or whatever, and then we look at the data and we're kind of going out and it's like they're saying it, but the reality is this really true? Is this really a problem or not? At the same time, though, sometimes reality doesn't matter, and it's more about perception of the problem. And a lot of game design and creative is about feel, right? So even though we're trying to take all these data inputs, there's still a feeling aspect to all of this and what we have to take in account for. And so myself and Allison, all the other leaders at Bungie and Destiny and others are so deeply committed to trying to be that player-first great experience that even though sometimes the data might be saying, well, what they're saying is wrong, the right thing to do is still make a change. Even if it maybe erodes a little bit of the opportunity in the future to make people feel better now, because it's the right thing to do by the community. Scarrow's breathing for him and Robbie. Oh, man. All right, Allison. Good game making is listening. It's listening to our players. It's listening to what the game is telling you. It's listening to what your team is telling you too. Even though Robbie and I are dealing with different fires, even though Robbie's dealing with different fires, and I am dealing with different fires, the narrative is the most flexible discipline. Our job is to be bendy and to be able to move and change when some of our other disciplines can't. And so when things are shifting around, we are there to match because we're good at our jobs. Robbie, and when I said that, oh my fucking God. Okay, you know what? That's cool. Because okay, does anyone have an interview we can watch? Because my voice is gonna die, okay? Let's see. Oh. Were me and Bife the only creators to do interviews? Yeah, I'm really glad we get these interviews too. I don't want to read. That one hurt my voice box and my lungs. You know damn well after every one of Robbie's sentences, he takes a breath so fucking long that he sucks the air out of the entire room. Dude, it's awesome that he's so passionate though. Yeah, I can't even imagine what typing those up is like. Oh, by the way, dude, check out the new, this is completely unrelated, but this is the new Destiny Rising Rising, Jaren Ward. Is it Yaren or Jaren Ward? Who the fuck knows? Character trailer. New character we're getting in Destiny Rising.
And we'll make this quick.
Catch.
It's gonna be so fucking sick.
Nothing personal. It's just business. These bullets will pay your debt for
Dual wielding goldies, dude. Crazy. It's awesome. Oh, goodness. Oof. Okay. Well, let me look. Let me look through my sub box and see if there's anything else that we need to watch. Because I need to give my voice a rest for tonight. After that, what else do we have? Was there any piece of content that you guys really, really liked coming out of the preview event? The exotic mission is part of the campaign. So you mentioned that the loot tier system is changing given that Renegades was using the old tier system. I don't know what you're talking about. Nice oyster. That's an actual character in like Destiny in Destiny. Did you see the Aegis artifact video? No. I'll add that to my required viewing before the DLC launches. I really didn't mess with the artifact at all while I was there, so they didn't even unlock it until like the second day. So yo, Mac, I was just glazing your video, buddy. How you doing? Hey, by the way, Mac, interesting decision not to like even say hi to me at all in that video or anything. I couldn't help but notice a lot of other creators were featured, and we just happened to be sitting like right across from each other. So I mean, it must have been a lot of work to look over the monitors and say hi to me real quick. No, it was a great video, buddy. It was a really good video. I was in it? When the fuck was I in it? I literally watched it. I'm not in it. Unless I'm like in the background of a shot. When did I get an appearance? What the fuck? To be fair, I was watching it on my phone in a hotel room. I didn't know. I'm not fucking. No way. I'm not taking that bet because you know the video. Did I speak or am I just in the background? Okay, 1 second. 1 fucking second here. 1 fucking second here. I bet. Oh my god, I'm in it!
That they care more about Renegades than they did about the Edge of Fate in a good way. It gives you the.
I don't fucking remember that literally at all. Like, I don't remember doing this. Oh, shit. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, man. I like this bit with Rick at the end here. But, you know. You didn't let him do the intro. Anyways. All right. Good shit, gamers. I think I'm going to call it there. We had a long drive today. My voice is going to die. Hey, Hoon, have you done Avalon yet? You want to try to do Avalon tomorrow? If you haven't done it. Oh, you did it yesterday? Already did it. Whatever. Oh, yeah, I'll just fucking LFG it, bro. It's easy. It's fucking easy, bro. Whatever. I don't need your help. What? I'll fucking solo it. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out today. We'll probably do a stream tomorrow. Just chilling out, day before Renegades. Man, I'm excited. I can't believe it's 2 days away. It kind of flew. So, I'm excited. Everyone, thank you so much. Is there anyone streaming the Destiny directory right now? Let's see. Hey, Sweat streaming. Fuck it. Bam. All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I'll see you very, very soon, my friends. And I hope you have a good one. See you, everyone.